Hi guys, technically this is episode 6 of the 5-part series, because I hadn't intended to do any more to this until I'd ordered some nylon pinion gears, because I found that the pinion gears I've been 3D printing are going soft or loose on the motor shaft when the motor gets hot, so that's a bit of a pain. I just pop a battery in there. I think the one that's in there at the moment is one that's slipping. If you haven't watched the previous 5 episodes, what we've done here is we've converted it to hobby grade. Got an ordinary servo there to do the steering. Yeah. So, I have 3D printed another one with an even smaller hole in it. In fact, I'm looking at that, that looks off centre. That may just be the way the moulding's gone. Yeah, because the other day I printed a whole series with different size holes for the shaft and went down, but this one's smaller still. That was, according to the print, exactly 2mm, but they always contract a little bit, so it was probably less than 2mm. This one I've actually printed, it's supposed to be 1.92mm, so that'd be an even tighter fit on a 2mm shaft. But at the same time, I remembered the original reason I'd got this one out was I was trying to make up some brackets so we could have the different body shells clipping on. And I 3D printed a couple more brackets. The idea with these being, these bits will go down over there, and I'll actually screw them, put a screw down through the hole there into the top of there, because the springs are only dummy, they don't actually do any suspension. So that's going to be rigid in there, but it'll look like it's got springs. And then through those holes I got, oh well, that's not very good. Obviously printed that too thin and too weak, but the idea perfect is those are going to go through there, and then we'll drill a couple of holes in here the normal way, so you've got posts coming up through and a clip going through it to hold the body shell in place. But it does look like I've been a bit generous with the size of those holes. Yeah, they are a bit big. I could have made them 1mm and just, yeah. So I'll have to reprint them, but we'll just see how these go. Right, that's supposed to be the back ones. The longer springs. The longer spring, that one in there, and a screw in there. And that's got a bit of swarf on it. Right, clean that out. Push that through. Right, yeah, that's going to hold that in place. Like that. And then, apart from the fact I've got to reprint them, those will come up through there. Drill a couple of holes in here. So they come up through like this, the normal way. So, right, before we go any further, I'll reprint them. I'm not quite sure why I made those holes so big, but never mind. Oh, that one's... This hasn't printed very well at all. Look at that. Right, I have to 3D reprint that, redesign it, I think. That doesn't like printing. Yeah, we'll redesign that so it's not such a flat surface. That's what's happened. The printer hasn't been able to build the layers up properly. So that needs doing again. Right, a bit more printing. I've got a nasty feeling I might be having a problem with my 3D printer. It might just be the filament, it might be the printer, or at least the file that I'm printing, because this was the earlier attempt. It's gone all funny at that height. So I've redesigned it a little bit. So instead of being a ball shape there, I've just got a funnel shape. But this is printed all funny as well. I mean, these bits here, it hasn't finished. It hasn't put the top on it. I don't know whether that's just the fact it's extremely hot today, whether that's causing a problem. But, I mean, this looks very pretty, but it's completely wrong. It should be nice and shiny like the top there, and yet that's all... It's like it's missing its outside layer. I can see through there, all the way through. Something very strange going on. I've checked all the nuts and bolts on the printer, all nice and tight. I'm hoping it's just the filament and the hot weather. But we'll find out, because I don't think this is going to be any stronger than the stuff that's already broken. I put smaller holes in it, but that's the same thing. I might get the microscope and have a look at it, because it's really weird the way it's gone. Right, we'll have a look at this with my USB microscope, or my Wi-Fi microscope. I got it plugged into the USB port. So this is just totally wrong. Well, I've got it set for the fastest print, which I accept will not give a perfect finish, but this is crazy. Got great holes in it. I'll just have a look with the ordinary camera on macro mode. I've never had a print like this before. Well, I'm thinking I might as well put these on the car so I can check whether I've got all the dimensions right, even though there's clearly a problem with the printing. I'm reprinting it at the moment with some different PLA just to see if it's the PLA that's a problem. I'm rather hoping it's just the extreme hot weather that's causing a problem. I guess we'll find out. Right, so that's the one we want across there. Okay. Not good. I've made it too wide now. How did I do that? I can trim the outside, but that's annoying because I've made it too narrow the first time, so I printed it a bit wider. Okay. That's better. Oh, look at that. I really don't know what's happened here. Well, we'll just have to wait and see if the next print is any better. And if that isn't any better, I'll print it on the best quality instead of the fastest. and see what happens there. The only trouble is that's a 5-hour print, so we're not going to be doing this anytime soon, are we? Well, just to check the dimensions, it is sitting on there at the right height, and at the moment that's still the pinion gear that was slipping yesterday, so I think once it's cooled down it may have contracted a little bit. I've got the new one to put in there. I won't worry about that just yet now. Okay, well, obviously there's going to be more work done here. It is never ending. I've called the series the Never Ending Toy Story car, because every time I touch it something else needs fixing. I've printed it with some black filament instead, and that's come out significantly better, but there are still some little bits that look like they haven't gone quite right. I don't know how we can do this because the light's all too bright. I'm not sure if we can see this, but along there's an odd rough edge. There's a rough edge along there. At least the top's been filled in properly. And these at the back aren't right either. They're not as bad, but it's clearly something with the printer's not quite right. And so whether it's the filament and the hot weather, because it's very slightly cooler now than it was earlier, that might be the difference. I don't know. What I'm doing now is I'm printing it on high quality, which is going to take about 5 hours to print, and I can come back and have a look and see if that's any different, because this is still on the fastest speed. You've got fast, normal and high quality. This is on fast. Just so we can see the theory of what I've designed here. These are the black ones that I've just printed, but they were based on the previous design, which is too wide here. But I'm just putting them on so we can check it all fits anyway. So these are the pegs with the holes in them. I'm going to go up. Oh, probably want to make sure I've got them pointing in the right direction first. Yeah. I could glue these in place, or I could just leave them as a tight fit. So those are supposed to go through the top of here. Actually, if I put smear that stuff over there, which is blue tack, and push these on and line it up, that gives me the positions where I want to drill the holes. I might just measure them and make sure they're evenly spaced across. But there's no point in doing the back ones because those will be closer together when I've finished. So that's what it should look like eventually, with holes in there and I'll bend up some paper clips or something for the loops that go through the posts. Just take one of them to look at to get the general design shape. Come round like that. Go back a bit. Something like that. So I'll do 4 of them. Yeah, might need to tighten them up a little bit. Don't know if you can see my skin's leaking. It's so hot today. And it's 7 o'clock at night and it's still hot. Yeah, something like that. Might be able to get another one out of that piece. Probably don't need to be quite as long either. Yeah, that's the general idea. There we go. So I've got my 4 clips ready. But as I say, I won't drill the holes in the bodywork yet until I've reprinted the back piece, because that needs to be a bit narrower. Although, I mean, that will work as it is, but I will make it narrower. Just occurred to me, I can show you the front ones alright, because that's the right position, but the back ones are the ones that are going to be closer when I've finished. And I just thought I'd just mention, if you do what I just did, which was make these little pins or clips out of paper clips, and you just cut them, bear in mind when you cut them you're actually creating a very sharp point. And I just stabbed myself in the finger with them. And it bled quite a lot. I was quite surprised, it must have gone straight in. So I actually had blood all over the front here. I didn't realise I'd cut it because it was such a clean stab. I didn't feel it, or not much anyway. But I actually coloured the car red. So be careful if you cut them with cutters. I've just filed them all nice and smooth now. Well, I just did what I originally intended to do before I got sidetracked with everything else. Took the gearbox apart again, and that pinion gear is in place. It stayed there with no trouble at all. That's the one where I actually cut some cross hatching onto the shaft and then tapped the gear in place, and that's okay. That's not what the problem is. It's this one now. All the teeth are all bent over. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, and that's because the one that I printed, it obviously hasn't got on with, doesn't like. It's even burred that one over. So I have to print this one now, and another one of these. And like I say, this car is a never-ending story. Every time I do something, something else needs fixing. Good morning, guys. It's another hot day today. So I've got my fan on to try and keep me cool. I'm back with the Toy Story car again. In the previous episode I'd shown you that the two intermediate gears had been damaged, so I've just printed replacements. I've also printed these brackets that I've been working on. This is printed at high quality. Still got these flyaway bits, but the rest of it is much better. Looks solid, whereas the previous ones just fell apart when I tried using them. So these look okay. Those ones were better than the red ones. The red ones, it looks like it might have been a problem with the pink or red PLA that I was using and the hot weather. Used the black on the same setting and it was significantly better. And I've used the black on the high quality setting and it looks nice all the way up, as I say, apart from these flyaway bits. It's probably because I'm printing all these separate items on the same print run. I expect if I just did that bit on its own, that bit on its own, and those on their own, you wouldn't get all these flyaway bits where the head's having to fly from one bit to the other. And that's the filament just sort of dragging. Anyway, they look okay. These look okay. Haven't tried them. They're different sizes. I couldn't just print one twice. This one's got big teeth on it, that one's got small teeth. I think they're both 8 teeth. Yeah, they're both 8 teeth. One of these had 30 and the other had something slightly different. So, yeah, each one's individual. How can we do this? Right, that's the one with the big teeth, and they're supposed to mesh with the big teeth on there, so that's easy enough. That one's the smaller teeth, which mesh with there, those teeth mesh with there, and those teeth go onto the pinion gear. So that's the setup. And I've got some silicone grease that arrived the other day in my post bag. So see what that looks like. Oh, it's clear. I must say I'd expected it to be white, simply because that's the other stuff that I've been using. Right. Okay, that looks okay. This bit back on. And how long do we think they'll last? Alright, well, we might have to give that a little try. Well, that didn't last very long. A few circuits of the garden, and then it stopped. So let's see which gear's given up. That's the biggest one's given up, or at least the biggest of the ones that I printed. This is why I call this series Never Ending, because every time I do something to it, something fails. Right, I don't know if the camera will pick that up. But those teeth are all sheared off. Those look okay at the moment. Right, well, I don't know if I can print them at a different speed or something, see if I can make them any harder. That's what I'll have to do. We'll see. I expect before we finish this episode I could just try this new bit that I printed. I don't need to use the other bits, because that bit seems to be okay. I'll just trim that up a bit. Alright, that's tidied that up a bit. And that should be just that bit narrower. Yeah. Right. So does that now fit? Right, so I can melt some holes in the shell, same as I did with those. Well, that's the body shell clips in place, which was the original purpose of this little series that, as usual, got sidetracked elsewhere. What I haven't done is reprinted that gear yet, so I guess we might have another video when I reprint that gear. But that'll do for now. That's nicely in place. Well, that's the latest gear that I've printed. So here we go again. I didn't screw them back together again properly last time because I knew I was going to be taking it apart. Where did I put the pieces? There we are. All on a magnet to keep them together. Right, need to clean that out a little bit. Try that again. Oh, still a little bit. I mean, it's free, but there's just a tiny bit of friction. Right, that's a bit better. Don't know if it's worth putting any silicone in there. Put a little bit on there anyway. Don't think the camera will pick it up, but there is just a little bit of movement down there on that shaft, which might be causing a problem. I'll just zoom in on it. Right, we're talking about that shaft just there. I don't know if you can see, but it is actually moving a little bit. I don't think there's very much I can do about that, but that might be enough to allow it to get out of alignment, which might be a problem. Still, It's only another 3D printed gear. That was clever. I just realised I did all that still on full zoom, or close up, so you couldn't see me doing what I was doing anyway. I was only screwing it all back together. I'm not sure whether that put the brake on will make any difference. Yeah, motor's the wrong way round anyway, because that brake is working on going from reverse to forwards, not forwards to reverse. So it might be an idea to... what's going on there? Bit of a jump in the continuity here, guys. I'm going to cut out a lot of the video that I've just been working on, because I had quite a few annoying little issues came up. We've got the new gear in there, the new black 3D printed gear. I then thought I'd enable the brake on the ESC. That was a problem, because I had to reverse the motor, because the brake was working when you went from reverse to forwards rather than forwards to reverse. So I had to reverse the polarity on the motor and switch it to reverse on the throttle setting here. So forwards, brake, and then reverse. That's the right way round. Forwards, brake, reverse. And I've done that to try and save the gears, because if we don't go straight from forwards into reverse, we shouldn't be putting so much stress on those gears. The other problem I then had was everything started going wrong. It'd start up on its own, the steering was twitching, and I think it might have been that the receiver was too close to the ESC. I'm not certain, but since I've moved it to there, I haven't been getting the same problem. So yeah, it all got a little bit annoying for a few minutes. So I'm going to edit all that out, and we are now in a position where we should be able to put the body shell back on and give it another try. If I can line the holes up. Yeah, so I'll put my clips in and we'll give it another little run. That gear's gone again. I can only assume that I'm just not printing them exactly the right size. Well, I'll take it apart again just so we can see which gear's broken, but I just don't know where to go now, short of buying different filament. Well, it is that gear again, it's the same one. The intermediate gear just before the final gear on the back axle. Let's just knock those teeth straight off. So, I don't know what the answer is. Obviously there's the possibility of actually buying the right size gear if I'm extremely lucky. Thanks for watching. You'll find more information down in the video description. You might like to watch that video up there, and you might like to subscribe over there.